Conker can meet a lot of untimely ends, but how fast can he reach them? To find that out, we'll be going through each chapter of the story and seeing how fast we get off our drunk squirrel here. Which chapter will be the quickest, and how devastating will each death be? Let's find out. Unfortunately, during the first chapter of the game, Conker is... like literally, he gets smacked around by this rock gargoyle and gets up like nothing happened. Which means Windy is where the show truly starts. For Windy, I gave the bees an attempt at revenge, however they suck at aiming their stingers. They're like the worst bees ever, no wonder their plans never work out. Then I remembered these big ass ladybugs attack you if you try to advance before shooting them. And thankfully, they can do up to 2 chocolates worth of damage. Combining that with some good positioning and RNG, I managed to get Conker killed in 23 seconds. This can probably be done faster with better movement, positioning, and luck, but I'm happy with this. For Bat's Tower, I have 2 ideas. Either we force Conker into an unwinnable holding your breath contest, or we feed him to a rabid dog. Let's first try holding a contest to see who can hold their breath the longest. Well, he isn't winning any Olympic medal with that performance. Now let's see if the dog can eat him quicker than he drowns. That is basically the same time. Depending on how you move, there could be a bigger difference, but I'll put this one as a tie since I like dogs. Which doesn't really make sense when I think about it, because the dog would probably win with the better movement. So yeah. For Barn Boys, we're gonna have to get a little more creative, since the closest enemies can only murder our poor squirrel by slowly squishing him 6 times. That's why we're gonna go for jumping off the roof of the barn. But you might be wondering how we're gonna get up there quicker than the Thwomp wannabes can mush Conker. Well, with the use of a tiny glitch that I learned about during my minimum jump challenge run, we can get to the roof without having to feed Marvin the mouse, allowing us to die in 29 seconds. With some adjustments to my pathing and splicing the time together, I lowered it to around 26 seconds, which I think could be lowered as well with even more optimizing. But I'm happy with this. For the infamous Great Mighty Pooh's battlefield, we sadly won't see the lovable shit himself, since we can die in 5 seconds by simply walking off the edge here. I know, I'm disappointed too. Since our lovable alcoholic squirrel here can't get enough of the parties, we of course have to get into a drunken brawl, where by carefully attracting the correct amount of attention at the correct time, Conker has the unluckiest outing of his life and is beaten by a mob of drunken rocks in 29 seconds. If Conker was a real being, he would be definitely wanting to blow my head off with his shotgun after what I put him through. Spooky is spookily simple. The quickest way for Conker to die here is to just drown. It takes way too long to have the zombies feast on his brains, and the Grim Reaper isn't really proficient in killing. What a letdown. Now, its war has 2 ways for Conker to die fast. First one is yet again to drown in 48 seconds. I was hoping the eel would be shocking enough to be quicker, but alas, its attack cooldown is just way too slow. However, luckily for Conker, he can die a much quicker death by accidentally bumping into these explosive spiders. Conker is still quite... so it takes a few hits for him to die. How does he survive 4 landmines? Like, come on, this is literally insane. For our final chapter, we have what is probably the most boring entry of them all. Simply run into this barbed wire fence 6 times and you're dead within 23 seconds. However, let's say Conker has to die at the bank. What would our time be then? Well, by optimizing our pathing by jumping across the river like this and jumping all the way to the top for additional speed, we can get to the bank within 40 seconds. Then after skipping a few cutscenes, we just have to get shot by these damn weasels that for some ungodly reason can't aim when I want it to hit me, putting us at over a minute for the first time in this challenge. I am surprised that all the levels are beatable, or dieable if that's even a word, in under a minute. I even utilized the glitch I thought would be only useful for the jumpless challenge, which was a cool surprise. Despite being a bit shorter than most of my other videos, it was still pretty fun finding all of the quickest routes to end Conker's miserable life. If you agree and want to see more Conker and video game content in general, hit all the thingies so that I know you, well, want more of this. With that, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Peace out.